Hi everyone, this is Puppeteer, and this is gonna be a short feedback loop video addressed to Frontier Developments, since they kinda asked the community to give feedbacks and thoughts on the upcoming changes to Powerplay 2.0. So this video is gonna heavily focus on that and some other things as well. My background is I've been playing Elite since 2014. Hitting 1600 hours, and then I recently came back, and I actually came back because I saw that Powerplay 2.0 is incoming, and that's what brought me back to Elite. Actually piqued my interest, so I reinstalled the game again and hit another 600 hours, playing both PvP and PvE alike, and been enjoying the heck out of it both. So without further ado, grab yourself a nice beverage and let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. First, to address the elephant in the room that's been announced recently, and that's the kind of potential route that FDev has gone off, say, so-called pay to win or pay to progress or whatever. I think every MMORPG with longevity and years of existing on the market has been through the same route of having some kind of a shortcuts to the new players to be able to be purchased so they can catch up to the existing population of the MMO, which is not uncommon at all. And I think it's a healthy thing because I come as well from other game background like Star Citizen and so on. And for example, one of the biggest gripes of friends I know that tried Elite was the grind. Like to get on a competitive level, both PvE or to PvE endgame, or on competitive level in PvP, you have to do the grind, which with the longevity of Elite, as I said before, it's huge. Like there's a lot of systems to learn first off, and then there's a lot of grind to do to learn about the external tools, what you need to use, how most efficient to gather, and so on. So the elephant in the room being pre-built ships, I think it's a good and healthy thing, both for the business of Frontier Developments and both for the player base, because we all want a lively game, a live universe filled with commanders, and not just an empty space, right? And you're just soloing it, right? So we want in an MMO, we want as much people as possible, and I think the pre-built ships are a great way for commanders who are new to catch up with the existing player base. That being said, I know that some of the pre-built ships are meant as a anti-Xeno combat ship, and some of the tunings that FDev chose are pretty kind of useless. And say one of the ships is built like a Titan bomber with a torpedo pylon, but without that power plant, that's kind of gonna put you as a target in there because of the heat. So Commander Mechan from Xeno Strike Force did a video on this. I'll link it in the description, who explains it a lot better than me, and he gave feedback on this already, so that should cover it, right? The other big part of this is the announcement of Python MK2, and it's kind of pre-sale or early access, however you want to call it, of 3 months. I think that's also fine. If Elite is been on the market for such a long period, you have to look beyond just ship skins, ship kits, and cosmetics to get monetization, right? So if it's only early access of a ship, I don't mind it at all. And the amount that's being asked is also really nothing uh, compared to some other monetization is in the industry. For example, in Star Citizen, where a single ship can cost upwards from $50 to $1,000 or so. So I think it's a good thing, and it's if you're having 100 hours inside of Elite, every once in a while, like 100 hours are fun. Every once in a while, you should put like 10 pounds or €10 back at the developer, since I think a lot of us who are playing Elite are actually like in the age bracket of salary people who are having day jobs and they play this game passionately as a hobby. So I don't think it's much to ask. So I think it's a good thing as well. And now on to the next topic, which is Powerplay 2.0 and why Powerplay 1.0 kind of failed in the long run. So I'll first address the 1.0 Powerplay, which is in my mind why it had huge potential, but in the in the long run, it kind of failed to unite the goal on players to have like a meaning in the galaxy of these powers colliding and clashing against each other. I know there's a lot of people who are still actively engaging into power play, but the numbers are kind of dwindling, right? So uh, why it failed, in my honest opinion, is because it was conceptualized as the whole Elite is into solo, private group, and open play. So if you can affect a power or a system by doing it solo and or in a private group without allowing any kind of defense against an attack or trade route or any kind of means to convert a system to your power, then everything is kind of in PvP terms kind of faded away, so people didn't bother. And the other thing is that the system of the power play itself was a bit too complicated. The UI and the map didn't tell you enough things and how to engage with it properly. So most of the people just went on the guides, so how to obtain the rewards or to stay with the power to say increase combat bonds and so on. And once they done the 4 weeks for the certain power, obtained the item or the power up, they would just drop to another power and continue on until they obtained everything that they needed, and then they pretty much wouldn't even engage with it anymore. So to circumvent this, we are gonna now phase into Powerplay 2.0 and 2.0, and what I think it's amazing what developers and the designers did with the map and how you can get more information just by looking at it. I think the hotspots that they mentioned, that just by opening the map you can see where the activity is huge, and that's how it's supposed to be from the beginning. Uh, just by opening the galaxy map and you select your power, you can see where you need to defend, where you need to attack. It's a lot easier than reading the text. Visual feedback is always preferred than anything else, in my opinion. Uh, but the other thing that they kind of asked our feedback on is uh, they're considering power play to be contested, so to say, or to be in open play only. I think that's a huge thing, uh, and it would probably bring a lot and lot people and players back to Elite Dangerous, because that's the one feature I think PvP community lacks the most, and that's meaningful kind of PvP. without any kind of role play, but meaningful PvP in the galaxy for your power to collect resources and so on. The other thing that I would suggest also, because I haven't seen them addressing it, is Odyssey, and how Odyssey could potentially intertwine with Powerplay as well. Say two or three powers clash into one system, and they find themselves with an opportunity to contest that system and to take it over or to defend it, right? And Odyssey can be implemented here to serve as a battlefield of sorts without any kind of loss. So what I mean by loss, now with the Targoid war and economy being a bit inflated, right? There's not so much of a credit sink, so commanders, even you, can be in billions of credits. But before this, it was really hard to acquire credits, right? So people were afraid of the loss. I think with the economy how it is now, there shouldn't be any feel of a loss of a ship, of rebuy costs, etc. But back to Odyssey, what I meant by it, if you allow commanders to say you have a system, and before you get to the carrier group that's defending the stronghold system, you have to go to planetary CZs and fight over those planets, flip the influence on the planets themselves, and then go to the stronghold, to the carrier, to fight in space, right? So first you have to go on foot, on the ground, fight in the conquest mode, fight over the planet, flip the planet over, and say a system has 6 planets and you have 3 combat zones on them, right? So you will have to flip 2 of the combat zones in your favor in order to proceed to attack the stronghold carrier. And what I mean by loss in planetary CZs, like you just respawn, there isn't any loss. So potentially a lot more people would be willing to engage, and I think it would bring meaning behind Odyssey material and Odyssey upgrades as well, because a lot more people would be interested in them and how to upgrade their character to the fullest to be able to compete in those CZs. And also, you could reward players not just by credits, you can award them by giving them materials for the upgrades and engineering and so on. So I think that would be also huge way to incentivize people, not just if they want to fly spaceships. Some of the people really enjoyed on foot stuff. So I think that would be huge. And back to the open PG and solo kind of aspect of the game. I have a friend who's like pro solo player. He likes to just chill in his solo instance, and he likes to gather stuff. He likes to grind stuff. He will not leave the station or his carrier without carrying a Excel spreadsheet of what he's gonna do that day, and he's really good at it. He's really good at BGS and all sorts of stuff, but he's mainly a solo player. He doesn't want to engage in PvP. And I asked him like, why do you think like open is kind of bad? Like, yeah, people can gank you and whatnot, but he told me like, I shouldn't be forced to a gameplay type if I don't like it. So you shouldn't be forcing people into open just to be able to play a part of the game, right? And I think that's completely fine. However, for the overall like power play and how it's set up to work, I think there should be incentives of even a solo player to try it out in open. And what I mean by incentives, say you have a power struggle, you can affect it somewhat in solo by trading, by combat, by any means, espionage or whatever. You can affect it, but only to a certain percent, or only to a, say, limited number that you can actually get it influenced, right? But in same goes for solo, same percentages would go for private group as well. So only a small amount of percent that you can actually affect the simulation. But if you go in open, you get, say, 10x the awards and 10x the influence. So people would be incentivized to, even if there's nobody there, still to go in open and fight on those ground CZs, fight with bots, which is probably for most of veteran players pretty easy, to fight in those combat zones, but in open. And if a opposing commander comes in, they can have some fun, right? But for a stronghold carrier to be attacked in solo, I know like there's mechanics to say if a cruiser comes in into the space combat zone, you have these big behemoth looking ships, but you can solo make them leave, right? So people have figured out like hit the heat veins, hit the heat vents or whatever they called, and you can basically make them leave even solo. So they're not kind of a real threat to you even solo. So if you take that similar mechanics, and even if it's a lot harder to try it solo, right? People will figure out a way how to do it effectively, right? Sooner or later, people will solo it, or sooner or later, people will go in private groups, in organized wings, and complete those carriers, like make them leave the system in private groups, right? In like most efficient kind of way, they'll go private groups. But if you lock the carriers and the carrier action in open only, I think that's the right way to go. Because why? I can be on the defending side of said system, and people took over the planets, and now it's the stronghold carrier time, and I could be waiting in open to defend it, and people could be striking it in solo and private groups, and I cannot defend. You took any ability of the defense players to actually prevent that attack, and I think if that's the route that developers go for, I think it's a huge flaw in the system, in the design, and it's gonna be the same outcome in the end, because power play as a concept, I think it's player interaction. It's keeping the universe alive and keeping that player interaction alive. I think that's the best part of MMO, is player interactions, not the grind, not what you achieve, not how many upgrades you get, nothing. It's player interaction and friends and enemies you meet along the way. And for God's sakes, the game is called Elite Dangerous, so the dangerous part should be always in there, right? But then, Puppeteer, you say that the solo player shouldn't be forced to engage into open, and I say he should be incentivized to join the battle in the open than to solo play. But Puppeteer, there's also a block button. You can block anybody in peer-to-peer networking and effectively delete them from your experience. And I say to that, limit the amount of blocks that any player can give out in certain amount of time or with a cooldown and so on. It can be designed in a way that both benefit and is balanced feature, so it isn't abused. The other thing I wanted to mention, like I would actually love to fight the networking in Elite, peer-to-peer instancing issues that we have, than not being able to fight at all and defend my systems because of solo attacks and organized private group attacks. And with that being said, I think there's a lot of positives and potentially some negatives that can be circumvented by a lot smarter people than me in FDev. And with that being said, I think this is the end of this feedback video. I hope to see you out there in the galaxy. Oh, this is editing Puppeteer. You thought you would get rid of me, but look how cool this is. This is from 7 years ago, Elite Dangerous trailer. If this was the open kind of experience in a conflict zone and in the Powerplay, getting into those carriers with your snub fighters, trying to hit the hit vents, multiple commander battle, that would be huge. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.